guys can go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome to Coffee Talk Tuesday. My name is Shalise Stevens. I'm here. Well, I'm going to introduce my guest since she's just sitting right here. This is Natosha Bowers. So we're in Atlanta, and co-host Trip is, where are you?
I'm in St. Louis. So we are spread about on this Coffee Talk Monday for our Coffee Talk Tuesday show.
Yes, we are.
So why are you so pink?
I'm blushing. We spent the whole day at the lake yesterday at Lake Lanier.
Well, did you have a good time?
It was amazing.
Did you practice social distancing?
Yes, with other people, of course we did.
Yes, I
did. Yeah.
We just went. My father-in-law had just a piece of like a mole removed, and we're in a doctor's office, and this woman comes in about 250 pounds, but she made up for it. She was 5'3", with no mask on, coughing like a mental patient. And Vita almost went into full cop mode and was ready to take them both down. It's just, in a doctor's office where they say, please wear a mask.
Right.
And this, and I know who she voted for, I won't say, but God, just for the rest of us, wear a mask. You're doing it for other people. It's not to prevent you getting the disease. It shows some class and, try to help everyone else out. If we all wore masks, this thing is not going to kill us. If we don't, it's going to keep on going.
Well, especially if you're coughing and you're like obviously spreading germs.
Right?
Yeah, it just, just my disdain for people who don't care about their fellow man. It doesn't take much to wear a mask. And then, so there was a case where two hairdressers here in Missouri both had the COVID-19 for a week. They cut 140 people's hair. They wore masks. The people getting the haircuts wore masks. 0 transmissions.
What?
Wow, that's awesome.
A foot behind your head.
That's
Wow.
cool. Good story.
Wear a mask, and if you feel like sending some money to a certain former vice president who's running against a toad, go ahead.
Nobody ever knows what Tripp's political views are at all.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Isn't that amazing? Where that's like a subliminal ad where it's fleeting. So,
Well, Trip, guess what? Actually, right now it started raining. Like it's thunderstorming right now. The sun was out.
Like 2 minutes ago?
And now it's like downpour here. So
Yeah.
it's kind of.
Yeah.
Do you hear that? Can you hear it?
I did not. I thought you were thinking. That's what I heard, a loud noise. And what are you drinking for Coffee Talk Tuesday?
Water.
Okay, that was very plausible the way you said that. I believe you 100%.
All right, I'm sure you do. So, Trip, today, I know that we're filming this a week in advance, but today is my anniversary, my Angelversary, when my son passed away 16 years ago. It's been 16 years.
For real.
This one's going to be a challenging one, but hey, we're doing it. So, on this date, how do you process it? How do you handle it? well, today, actually, the reason why I'm here is because I always try to do something that's fun with people that I love, that can support me no matter what mood I'm in, because it kind of shifts during this time.
It shifts. I ebb and flow with her like water.
Yes. I know. Well, kind of. But anyway, I came out here so I could be around somebody that could support me, and we can have a good time and make some memories. And so that's usually what I try to do. I try to do something that's like fun and special, and so. But yeah, this weekend, since we had such a fun weekend, today hasn't been that bad. Sometimes the day's really rough and heavy, but today has been pretty good. So
Do your
Uh,
kids do your kids do a good job supporting you on a day like this?
usually they do. I think since they're with their friends and like busy and stuff, I mean, they give me hugs and they know that, oh, mommy can, we're not sure, but what's gonna happen today? But they do a pretty good job and being supportive. So
I was just talking to DJ before, and he said, "What's your Coffee Talk Tuesday about today?" And I said, "Well, it's Caleb Day." He's like, "Is today Monday?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Did you give your mom a hug?" So I think, yeah, they're supportive, definitely.
What is the best thing that someone who wants to offer support to a parent who's lost a child, what's the best thing to say to them?
I mean, I think it really depends, but honestly, just, I love you, I'm here for you, I'm thinking about you. Is there anything, even though that question, is there anything you need? You never know what you need, really. So I think that if you just saying I'm here for you, if you need anything, is almost better than what do you need, because that question a lot of times is, you don't know at that point. So if you just know that they're going to be there and love and support you, that's really the best thing to do.
So Mark, I'd asked Mark Christensen from Angel's Hands that very thing. And he said, and he goes, as far as I'm concerned, the best thing you can do is just say, I'm sorry, and give me a hug. And that's the best thing. And because, some things that people say, and not trying to be in any way, shape, or form, they're not saying it in a bad way, but when people say he's in a better place or something like that,
I know.
That's very presumptuous.
Natosha and I actually put together HR. She was in HR, so I met her when I worked at IHG, and she's the HR manager. And we at IHG had 3 deaths, I think, within days of each other. Like, it was like one after another, and the whole center was grieving. And so Natosha actually asked me to help her put together this grief, what would you call it, like seminar, workshop thing. And it was really good, because a lot of those things came up, like, because everybody says, oh, he's in a better place or whatever. And especially when you've lost a child or someone that's like tragic, that, the thing you think of is, no, the better place is with me. Like, I'm his mom. There's no, like, he's not in a better place. And so, like, a lot of things we talked about. So yeah.
Asking questions. It's a weird topic too, because as a friend, you don't want to be offensive, but you also don't want to ignore the issue because it's present. It's like, so I think asking is a good way too. It's just like, what do you need? What can I do to support you?
Yeah.
Rather than presuming that saying he's in a better place is going to be the right thing to say or do.
Yeah, and that's so tough, because there's no manual teaches you how to handle something like this.
Right. However, there is a book that I know someone wrote that is pretty good.
Well, what would the name of that book be?
I'm gonna stumble my way over here.
The water is very, very good here.
So this is my book that I wrote, Finding 40, A Mother's Walk with Grief. And it actually, I don't know that it necessarily gives advice. It's not necessarily an advice book. What it is a story of how my journey through grief and through losing my son. And that's, I wrote it because when I first lost my son, everybody wants to give you advice. Everybody wants to give you books. Everyone wants to help. And honestly, I didn't want to read a single one of those books. I didn't want to hear necessarily other people tell me how I'm going to feel when I'm going through all of this, because how could they possibly know? And so it took me 15 years to be able to write this book. And the reason why I did it was because it's like, I'm not telling you how you're going to feel. I'm not going to tell you how you're going to go through it. But what I tell you is my experience and my story. And maybe there's a possibility that you can relate to it some way, somehow. It also talks about like how it's individual. Everybody's healing process is individual, and it's messy and it's dark and it's sad and it's hard and you suffer and you struggle, but somehow, some way you continue to get through. And I talk about how I continue to get through and how my process actually isn't really truly ever going to be over. But yeah, I mean, it's 16 years today and I didn't know how I was going to feel. And that's why I'm here with her, because I know that she can support me no matter what I was feeling. So
I have the honor of spending many different anniversaries regarding Caleb with you. So it really is a privilege. Like, I really am so grateful to have that as part of our friendship.
Yeah,
It means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a short break. When we Okay.
All right. Hello. Welcome back to Coffee Talk Tuesday. I'm here with my bestie, Natosha, in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep.
And we are here with Trip, our co-host, who is in St. which is, how far is it away from Atlanta?
I'm not even going to pretend to know.
But we're on the other side.
Yeah, you just go east and then turn right. You're right in Atlanta. So.
Yes, I believe you.
So, Shalise, when you're traveling around the country and you meet people and tell them you're from Salt Lake, what are the reactions?
Oh, so one of my favorites was when I moved to California and I was living there. And I remember I was on like the subway and going to Long Beach. And I told someone that I was that I just moved from Salt Lake. And they were like, oh my gosh, like, are you a polygamist? And I said, of course I am. I'm the fifth wife. I couldn't take it anymore. I deserve better.
There is a misperception. There is a misperception about the LDS Church, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how people who live in Salt Lake for a lot of time, if you're not a member of the church, it's hard. There's not a great public access out there to give you good, objective information on the church. So I've had a lot of misconceptions about the church that only recently I've learned about. But my original 7 years living in Salt Lake, I thought the church was kooky. I didn't, and then you find out that it's much more of a mainstream church.
Yeah.
And the giving the 10% part would be tough.
Yeah, but I grew up LDS. So I know all about it. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
Natosha grew up in the LDS community in Utah, but not being LDS. So there's.
Oh, I've had all the same questions. But we just recently relocated to Georgia from Salt Lake. And so I've had all kinds of, are you a Mormon? Isn't everybody Mormon? Oh, you don't drink. And they just make an assumption that I can't drink because I lived in Salt Lake City, things like that. So there are a ton of misconceptions out there.
Yeah, and but you can drink when you're next to my co-host, correct?
Water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Water.
That pop-off water is great when you can get it. The other misconceptions about Salt Lake is it's not a very fun community, and there's nothing further. I mean, the Salt Lake City itself is amazingly diverse. If you look at kind of relaxed culture, our previous mayor was gay. Salt Lake City itself has the 11th highest gay population in the country by percentage. It's very diverse. Now, as you get out in the county and maybe up to Davis County up north and Utah County, it's a little bit more white Mormon, but it's still, the state is changing and it's a pretty wonderful spot to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
I miss it a lot. I miss the culture, absolutely, because I understand it. I mean, being raised there, you understand everything differently. Moving here, I'm in the Southern culture, which it's kind of similar. I think there are a lot of rules that are unwritten. It's just sometimes I don't know that I'm being offensive or what those unwritten rules are, because there's not a guidebook, and there's not a guidebook to living in a Mormon culture or LDS culture. And so it's just the nuances of the different cultures that you live in. So yeah. I definitely miss it because it just is home.
Oh, there he's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone.
Bye.
There he goes. All right. Well, Trip was having technical difficulties, so we'll finish up the last little bit, but that's fine because we've actually, Tasha and I have actually had some really awesome conversations about the different cultures of between Salt Lake and Atlanta. Last night we were talking about it and just some different experiences and what it's been like, and like there's so much going on that's so different, and raising kids in a different culture and trying to figure out that. And I don't know, like
yeah, for sure. I have teenage girls raised primarily in Utah, and then we moved here at a very critical time in their life. And so the world we live in right now with pandemic and Black Lives Matter and everything else going on, it's we're still adapting to a new culture, but we're also still trying to we're learning where we are. But I don't know, sometimes I want to be on the right side of history with my kids, and it's sometimes hard to know what that looks like.
Yeah.
With a teenager, 18 years old, 16 years old,
Right.
and 14 years old. They're hard.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and being a parent anyway is difficult, right? I mean, like we talk about that all the time, and that's one of the things. Like I'm a different kind of mom because I am that I have a kid that's passed away, so I'm an angel mom, mm-hmm. and then I also have to navigate between like what that looks like and how I honor him, and compared to like how I honor and spend time with my kids that are alive. And so one of the reasons why I brought them out here was so we can have that experience. I love making memories with my kids and like doing those adventures and having that fun time and exposing them to different cultures and life and everything. But I remember talking to you about moving out here last year, and you're like, I guess it was what, a year and a half ago?
Exactly.
Really, yeah,
a year.
And because you always said to me, like, so tell me, like, what's your opinion? Like, would you do this? And I'm like, of course I would do this.
I'm an adventure girl. I need that. I need it. I'm so grounded. I'm HR. I mean, come on now. What does HR do? I'm like rules, regulations. I can't. I've got to have all of it ironed out, right?
Yeah, and I am not that way.
No.
I know, weird, right? But like, what is it? That's actually a good question. Like, what is it like being a mom when you're HR too? Like to teenage girls of all who are completely different. I know all your girls, all three of your girls, and they are so different.
Yeah.
How do you manage that when you can't really? It's different managing your kids than managing a professional career.
Is it? No, I'm teasing. No, in reality, I think it's so much. Even yesterday, so we were at the lake with DJ, and kids, he was tired, and fighting with siblings, and it does give a different perspective and patience and tolerance of being in HR. You see everything. You see everything that happens with a colleague or an employee or a company and culture, and you're kind of the face of it. And so I think as a parent, there's nothing different. You're the face of your children, and you're the face of, until they're going to grow up and make their own decisions. But being that face, it's the patient side of it, I think, is where it's incredible, because like Shalise and me, like we're learning to co-parent this week. But I do. I think even with each of my kids, it gives you the ability to adapt to them as a leader in their life, like I would adapt to any employee at work, because you have to be adaptable and roll with things really quickly.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that and you saying that it's so true, and us co-parenting together, and I think it does take a village. Like I definitely need your support when I have my kids. Like, I'm a single mom, you're a single mom. Like, we're trying to figure this out. How do we do this together? And the last time I was here,
she did the same thing for me. One of my kids was having a meltdown. She's like, do I need to intervene? I'm like, yes. Are you kidding? Yes. Please help me.
Right, because we have those, and I don't approach her as mom. Like, I approach her as me, and she respects me and she loves me, and we were able to talk about that.
Yeah.
But then ultimately it goes back to you. I mean, and you know.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, and then like being in that world of trying to figure it out, and I can't even imagine raising teenagers right now. Like, it's hard. My daughter's 12, and so she's still like in that, like, okay, like, you know, trying to figure it out, but not really wanting to have her extreme independence like your girls. Like,
yeah, true. And I do have a question for you.
Okay.
So if it's too much, just let me know. So we spent a lot of time this week doing water activities. Mm-hmm. We know the story behind Caleb and what happened. Like, how have you, because even we were in the river, we were doing some, you know, like rock, kids were in the river, it was going pretty quickly, and we were in a lake yesterday. And how have you been able to, and it's probably in the book, but like, how have you been able to get comfortable again in those situations with a rambunctious 8-year-old?
Right, that has no fear of water or no fear of life, and gives his mom, like, I'm surprised I'm not more gray than I am. I think I just have really good genes. Thanks, Mom.
I love it, yeah.
But how it really is, like, I'm that person who jumps into situations that scare me. I don't live in fear. I'm safe and I'm practical, and I know, like, I'm not going to take my eyes off my kid. Like, but I also I believe in giving them their independence and their freedom, and not making, I want them to learn how to swim. I want them to be able to face their fears. And I mean, you saw my anxiety kick up though. Like, there was that, like, oh my gosh, like, it's different. But I think it's just putting yourself in those situations that give you the opportunity to continue to heal. And a lot of that it is in my book of, like, I'm just that person who I'm going to go to where it scares me most, and I'm going to face it. And I mean, that's just who I am as a mom, and I don't want to change that because of my own fears, because I don't want to put that on them. I don't want to make them exactly totally, like, and different kids and different, and it was really cute also to see, like, Danny knows, my daughter who's 12, she knows more, and she's more connected with the story and everything like that, and she's like, I got him. Like, sometimes her mommingness drives me more crazy than her just like oblivious nature that she can be. But she stepped up, and she's like, because the story, so we were in the river, and it wasn't like a super crazy deep river, it wasn't even fast flowing, but DJ got on a rock and it was slippery, and he was like, I'm stuck, I can't move, it's too slow.
It's like, come back, DJ. And he's like, I'm trying. And
so I'm like, okay, then don't move. and Danny, she's like, I got a mom, and she stepped. I mean, Natosha and I were both ready to jump off that rock and go get him if we needed to.
He was safe.
But Danny was like, I got him, and she walked her way over and she grabbed him, which I think is so cool about, like, she knows well, and I teach my kids about water safety too, and that's something that's so huge. Like, water safety is so important, and it is, even though I have my foundation for heart kids,
right? Like,
water safety is important to me. Like, I'm making my
I'm
kids,
always saying it's such a passion. It's such a passion. We need to prevent water safety.
And so that's on my to-do list. Like, I'm an advocate for that as well. But you know, I want them to feel confident though that they can have that opportunity, and I don't want to live in fear, which is why I said you should move to Georgia. You can't be afraid of change, because that's what creates your experiences
yeah.
and growth, and that's how you become more. So
Definitely more.
you are definitely more.
Don't know if it's better, but I'm more.
Yeah. So I don't know. I love that we can do this, and I love that I can come here, and it's been such an awesome opportunity to be able to be here, and because I love you, and I know, and that's it. Like Trip asked earlier, like what do I do to get through these times? Like I honestly, I surround myself with people I love, and so it's been great. And I do want to tell my viewers that actually my book Finding 40, it's my Caleb Day, so I'm kind of promoting. I am promoting myself in this one.
That's okay.
But my Finding 40 book is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And if you just put in Shalise Stevens or Finding 40, you can find it. I'll also have the links to my website and everything below. I'm also going to start a book signing every Thursday. I go to my local little community bar, and it's called Good Spirits on 70th and Redwood in Salt Lake City, well, in West Jordan, Utah. And every Thursday I go there for lunch, meet up with the owner. They're helping me put together a fundraiser for rainy days. And I'm also going to start doing my book signing there every Thursday that I'm in town.
That's so exciting.
And I'm really excited about it. So you can come down, get a drink with me, get some lunch with me. I'll sign your book. I'll have books to purchase as well. So that's, yeah, it's going to be super fun, and supporting our community, small businesses. I'm super passionate about that as well, because we're all here to support each other, and I love that they support me, and I miss that you're not there with me, but I also love that I can just get away, and you're
and I still get to be a part of it.
You still,
I mean, and it,
totally.
yeah, and that's what friends do. I mean, you connect regardless of where you are.
Yep.
No matter if the circumstances are, you know who your people are.
That's right. So thank you for being our people, and I will see you guys next week on another Coffee Talk Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.